so excited to be back with you guys at Healthy Family Initiative and with all of our listeners. I want to commend you guys for coming in again and taking these 30 minutes, very much like a lunch break, to change your life, really. And so I hope that today, excuse me, you gain more information that you can not just have as head knowledge, but our goal is to give you something that you can practically use even today as soon as you get off, before you log off to work or before you return home this evening. You can actually use some of the information that we're going to talk about today. Excuse me. So we are, as Catherine has mentioned, that we are talking about trust today, and we talked about that trust is a two-way street. And this is our part 2 of trust. And so it's going to be a combination of things that we've mentioned before, but I'm also going to build on that and give you more things to practice. I hope that you've taken the information that we've talked about before and have already utilized it in your life. And so now you're going to have a little bit more homework, if you will, to help make the changes that are necessary to you. So welcome again, and I commend you for being here. So we're going to start with the definition. For a few of you that may not have been here before, we talked about that trust is oftentimes a misconception, that it is not an emotion. It is much rather a cognitive part. It is a construct rather than an emotion. And that trust is different from reliance. In our natural language that we tend to use every day, we tend to correlate those words, but they're actually different. Trust is a mental picture. It's the cognitive part of how I see someone. It's my perspective of them. And then reliance is more of the emotional part. It's the idea of how I can put my confidence in them or how I can rely on them. And so as we are talking about trust in this relationship series, we are defining trust as a mental picture you have of someone, how you perceive them. And it's a mixture of 3 things. We talked about it's a mixture of an association, which is how do I know this person? A stereotype, what do I think about this person? What kind of categories do they fit in? And then an ideal, what do I want this person to be to me in my life? And we take those 3 things, and that helps us to construct what we call our mental picture, or helps us to determine whether or not we can trust them. And then we talked about who builds trust. And we said everybody is building trust. So I don't know who's on the line. It may be some singles on the line. It may be some people who are in a relationship, long-term relationship. There may be some people who are in a situationship, haven't quite figured it out or defined it yet. And then there may be some married couples, some newlyweds, or maybe even some veterans on the line. But regardless of where you fall in that category, we are building trust every single day. In those relationships, in our romantic relationships, also in our co-working relationships, we're building trust with our hairstylist. Can she really do it? Can he not do it? We're building trust with the person we may buy a car from or a house from. It's everywhere we go, we have an opportunity to trust someone. But even as we are doing that, we are in one or the other category. Either we are risking to trust someone, or we are asking someone to trust us. So either we are building trust or we are gaining trust from someone. And we all fall in those groups. And we talked about how our title is Trust, a two-way street, because those are the 2 groups, either building trust or regaining trust. Charles H. Green, he's the author of The Trusted Advisor, and he says, it takes 2 to do the trust tango, the one who risks and the one who is trustworthy, and that they each have a role to play. And that's what we're going to focus on even more so today. That's what we're going to dig in a little deeper and see what are my roles as the one who is building trust, or if I am trying to regain trust, what is my role in doing that, and how do I play in that role? So as Catherine has already mentioned, if you have any questions about anything that I've already said, we encourage you to write that question down now because we want to get it answered. And you can do that through the Zoom chat function, or you can text your questions to 770-242-0001. Again, that's 770-242-0001. So how do we build trust? So we're talking to that first category of people who are wanting to build trust in someone. You maybe have met someone, or you have been in a relationship with someone and that trust has been broken, but you figure this relationship is very important to me and I want to figure this trust thing out, so I want to restore it. How do I do that? We talked about using that trust wheel, putting that mental picture that we have of someone that compiles of the associations, the stereotypes, the ideals, and putting it on a wheel. Having that picture, having an experience. From that experience, we alter our expectations of that person. We look at that mental picture and say, well, did they match up with who I thought they were going to be? And here again is why trust is a cognitive and not an emotional thing, because we're saying this is what I thought, this is what really happened. And from that evaluation, we then create a new mental picture. So that was the trust wheel in which we talked about in part one. Here's our tool, here's our shovel as we're going to dig a little deeper. The key to building trust is keeping your head before your heart. The key to building trust is using that trust wheel and thinking about what is happening rather than what you want to happen in a relationship. And this is what we would say has often been a stumbling block for many people as they are rebuilding trust. We talked about trust being the composite of associations, stereotypes, and ideals, who we want them to be. And so we kind of get tripped up on that ideal when we have an experience. So sometimes we make excuses for our reality. So we have a mental picture of a person, we then have an experience, they don't meet up to that experience, but we fail to alter our expectations because of the ideal and who we want this person to be in our life. And so from that, we continue to carry the same mental picture that doesn't add up with the reality of what this person is presenting to us. And that's why we continue to maybe experience disappointment and hurt. And so when we are building trust, we want to pace ourselves. We want to literally take our time, but we also want to use PACE as an acronym. So PACE is P as in participate, A as in anticipate, C as in cooperate, and E as in evaluate. We want to pace ourselves. So if we're building trust, we're going to participate in putting trust in a relationship. And by participating in that, that means that we're going to give them opportunities to trust us too. And maybe in some ways, even be an example of how trust works. If we are asking them to do certain things to build trust, we too are going to do those things. If we are going to ask for, if we're in a co-worker situation, we're going to ask for timely deadlines to be met. Well, we're going to meet those deadlines as well because we are participating in building trust. Then we're going to anticipate the best. So especially if there's been a situation where we are trying to restore relationship, we aren't necessarily going to hold that person to their past. We're going to say that that was a choice. I'm here again. Let me see if this is a characteristic. And so I'm going to lay aside the choice that the person has made before, and I'm going to anticipate that they're going to do the best thing towards me. And I'm going to anticipate that it's going to work out, which means my attitude is one of anticipation. And my attitude is also one of cooperation. C, I'm going to cooperate with the building of the trust. So what does that mean? That means in order to trust people, you got to trust people. So it's different from participating. Participating is I'm going to do my part. I'm going to be a trustworthy person. If I want to trust others, I have to show others that they can trust me. Cooperating is saying that I'm going to give this person an opportunity to actually be trusted. I'm going to give them an opportunity to soar because we're anticipating the best. I'm going to give them an opportunity to soar. So I'm going to take the risk of trusting them again. And then lastly, I'm going to evaluate my partner's trustworthiness. And that speaks to what I mentioned before in terms of not giving excuses to our reality. So that's when we pause and we say, what just happened? Why did it happen? And then we take another step and say, how am I going to respond to what just happened? And not make excuses for our reality. So if we're building trust, we're going to use that trust wheel. We're going to take our mental picture and we're going to pace ourselves in building trust with others. We're going to participate. That means we're going to also be trustworthy persons, giving examples. We're going to anticipate the best. We're going to cooperate with building trust. And then we're going to evaluate the trustworthiness of that person, be it a coworker, a partner, a family member. All right, that was a lot. That was a mouthful for all of those who are building trust or seeking to restore trust. But if there's something that you may have missed or something you want more clarity on, please feel free to use the Zoom chat function. You can send your question that way, or you can text your question to 770-242-0001. All right, so our second group are those who are trying to gain the trust of someone or maybe even regain trust. And in part one, we talked about 4 ingredients to change if you're trying to regain trust. How can I invite this person to trust me again? And we talked about insight, acknowledging that there has been an offense. We talked about gaining new information. Well, I didn't quite make the right choice, or I failed because of lack of knowledge. So I'm going to gain more information, and I'm going to gain this information from my partner or other resources into what to do next time. I failed that time, and that's okay because I could make a different choice, but I need to know how to make a different choice. I'm going to gain some new information. Then I'm going to put an effort to correct the choices that I made before. I'm going to be intentional about using what it is that I know. And then I'm going to allow myself time and practice. I'm going to ask the person who I'm seeking to prove trust to that they also would give me time and practice to use the information that I have learned. So we're going to dig a little deeper today with that information, and we're saying to those who are seeking to gain or regain trust that this trust thing is hard work. So we've got to do the work. Well, where does the work start? The work really starts in your heart, because in your heart is where your intentions start. What do I intend to do by this behavior? What do I intend to do towards this person? Some may say that this also refers to our conscience. Our conscience are our inner feelings. It's the things that tells us the difference between what is right and what is wrong. And so when we are starting our work to regain trust, we're doing the work to battle here to determine between right and wrong. And when we do that battle in our heart, the results show up in the way that we relate to other people. So if you are finding that the majority of your relationships may not be beneficial to you and that you're struggling a little bit, we have to go back and say, you know what are my intentions in relationships? And not just romantic relationships, but looking all the way around. How do I relate to my neighbor? How am I relating to my social group friends, whether I'm in a sorority or fraternity or a church group or some other group, a civil acts group? How am I relating with people that I come in contact with? And is there a theme there? That's when we do our heart work and we check our heart and we think about our conscience and say, what are my intentions when I engage with other people? And there are a few things that you can ask yourself as you are beginning to put effort into different choices. And a few things you might ask yourself is, am I thinking about the feelings of other people? And this is a way just to check your own conscience. Am I thinking about the feelings of others? Does that truly concern me about how my actions, my words impact others that are around me? And then you may ask yourself, do I think about the ramifications of my actions? Do I think in the moment, or do I think about what happens after this moment? Who does this impact after this moment? Is this a moment that will help maintain what I have, or is this a moment that I'm going to have to clean up what I have? And let me tell you, maintaining is a whole lot better than overhaul, cleanup. As it is in your home, so it is in your relationships. It's much easier to maintain a nice, clean home than rather have to clean up and constantly repair things in a home that may be needing some more attention. So it is in our relationships the same. So we think about, am I thinking about the feelings of others? Am I thinking about the ramification of my actions? What happens? And then here's the last thing you think about. You know what? Am I often in the giving position or in the receiving position? Do I look to see what people can do for me much faster than what I can do for others? You know that saying, what's in it for me? You know, when people ask me to do things, is that generally my response to them? What can I get out of it? Do the people around me call me the great negotiator? Because I'm always trying to see how I can benefit the best out of what it is that's happening. in all of my relationships? And if so, how can I balance that thing out? You know, life is a give and take, and relationships most certainly are the same. There should be times where we receive, but there should also be times when we give. And as we are thinking about these things in our heart, I think that they will show up in our relationship. And if you're trying to get someone to trust you again, the first thing they got to know is that you're thinking about them. They are thinking about how I feel. They are thinking about what they can do for me. Like, they have my best interest in heart. And if someone believes that about you, or someone has that perception of you and they see you that way, then they're going to say, okay, whatever decisions or whatever choices they make is not only going to be best for them, but it's going to be best for us. And that I can trust, that they're making a good decision for me as well. So that is another way to dig and continue to dig, starting with the work, starting with your heart, starting with your intentions and your conscious. And your conscious is how you help regain or restore or even gain trust from another person. If you have any questions about that, or if you need more clarity, once again, and for the last time, you can use the Zoom chat function, or you can text your questions to 770-242-0001. As a takeaway from this section, or this part 2, it is the same as our part 1, because the work is still the same. And as you get these mantras in your head, I'm hoping all of that information rushes back and you know exactly what tool you need to use. But if you're seeking to build or rebuild trust today, your takeaway or your key is to keep your head before your heart. Don't give excuses to your reality. Evaluate your reality and decide what you want to do with it. Pace yourself. Participate, anticipate, cooperate, and evaluate. And if you're looking to regain trust or gain trust, know that it's hard work and you've got to do the work. And the work starts with you, not necessarily trying to get this person to see you in a different light, but simply being different. And as a result of that, they will see your difference. So thank you so much for your time. And I do appreciate, again, the opportunity to share this information with you. And I hope you get to use one of these nuggets today. Thank you.